Welcome back to the deep dive. You give us the source material, and well, we dig in, pull out the core insights, and try to make sense of it all for you.
Exactly. And today, we're tackling a big one, a classic. It asks this question, really. What if you could split yourself? Let your dark side run wild, completely consequence-free while keeping up appearances.
We are, of course, getting into Robert Louis Stevenson's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
That's right. You've handed us the full audiobook transcript, a foundational piece of literature. Our mission, to unpack its essence. We're assuming you know the basic story, so we want to dive deeper.
Yeah, get into the currents of human nature, morality, the stuff that still hits home today. We'll look at how Stevenson builds this whole mystery.
And what it tells us about, well, that duality inside us all.
Absolutely. And interestingly, our way into this story, into this whole duality thing, isn't even Jekyll himself. It starts with his lawyer, Mr. Utterson.
Right, Utterson. He's our guide, really. Described as having a rugged countenance, kind of quiet, maybe a bit awkward in conversation, cold, scanty, and embarrassed in discourse, is the line.
Yeah, sounds a bit stiff. He's tough on himself, too. Drinks gin, apparently, to mortify a taste for vintages. But the crucial thing, you pointed this out earlier, is his tolerance for other people.
Approved tolerance for others. It's key. He has that famous line, "I let my brother go to the devil in his own way."
Which is quite a stance, isn't it?
It really is. It makes him, as the book says, the last reputable acquaintance and the last good influence in the lives of downgoing men. He's this blend of strict self-control and surprising acceptance of others' faults.
So he's the perfect viewpoint character, in a way. Steady, rational, but willing to observe without immediate judgment.
Exactly. He's our anchor when things start getting, strange.
And through Utterson, we meet his cousin, Richard Enfield. A bit different, this well-known man about town. They take these Sunday walks together.
Yeah, and apparently they don't even talk much on these walks. But the walks themselves are incredibly important to both of them, the chief jewel of each week.
It's a nice little detail, that quiet companionship. A contrast, maybe.
I think so. A contrast to the isolation we're going to see later, especially with Hyde. It sets up this idea of genuine connection versus, well, the opposite.
And it's on one of these very walks that they encounter it, the door.
Ah, yes, the door.
Yeah.
In this otherwise bustling, respectable London street, there's this one blinking, a sinister block. Neglected, no windows, just this one door. Looks like it hasn't been touched in ages.
Marks of prolonged and sordid negligence. Kids mess with it. Tramps hang around. It just radiates decay.
And Enfield points to it. Says he has a story about that door. Really disturbing one.
Go on.
He was walking home late one night, like 3 a.m., black winter morning. And he sees this small man just collide with a little girl, maybe 8 or 10 years old, but the man just calmly, deliberately tramples over her body while she's screaming.
Yeah.
Enfield calls him a damn juggernaut, describes the whole thing as hellish.
God, that's chilling. Just pure malice.
Exactly. And a crowd gathers, the family, a doctor, and everyone, even this usually clinical doctor, feels this instant, powerful loathing for the man. It's visceral. They can't quite place why, but they all feel it.
And the man himself.
Perfectly cool. A black, sneering coolness, Enfield says, like Satan, just detached.
So what happens? They confront him.
They do. To avoid a huge scandal, make his name stink from one end of London to the other, the man agrees to pay the family £100.
Okay, but here's the twist, right? The really weird part.
This is where it gets strange. The man, this figure of pure loathing, pulls out a key, unlocks that door. The neglected, sinister door. Goes inside, comes back out with £10 in gold and a check for the rest. Signed with a name. Enfield can't mention, but one that's very well known and often printed. A respectable name. Utterson just mutters, tut-tut, when he hears this. Enfield starts calling the place Blackmail House.
So right away, you have this connection, this vile act, this repulsive man linked to someone important through this mysterious door and a check.
Precisely. It's the first hint that something ugly is tied to something respectable. And Enfield struggles to even describe the man, who we learn is called Hyde. He says there's something wrong with his appearance, something displeasing, something downright detestable.
But he can't pinpoint it.
No. A strong feeling of deformity, although I couldn't specify the point. It's this sense of wrongness that's more moral or spiritual than purely physical. It's deeply unsettling.
And Enfield's takeaway from all this?
His rule. The more it looks like Queer Street, the less I ask. Basically, turn a blind eye, don't pry into unpleasantness.
Very Victorian. Keep up appearances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that very attitude allows darkness like this to, well, fester in the shadows.
So this story obviously gets under Utterson's skin deeply. That same night, he goes to his safe.
Right, and pulls out Dr. Jekyll's will, a document he already hates. It offends him as a lawyer, as someone who likes things orderly and, sane.
And the contents.
That's the disturbing part. It says that if Dr. Henry Jekyll dies, or if he disappears or is unexplainably absent for more than 3 months.
Disappears. That's odd.
Very odd. In either case, all his possessions are to pass to his friend and benefactor, Edward Hyde.
The same Hyde, linked directly to Jekyll in his will as a benefactor.
The very same. Utterson is horrified. He fears disgrace for his friend Jekyll. The disappearance clause is just bizarre. It suggests Jekyll himself anticipates something stranger than death.
So Utterson needs answers. He goes to see another old friend, Dr. Lanyon.
Dr. Lanyon, a very different sort of doctor from Jekyll, apparently. Hardy, healthy, dapper, more conventional.
And what does Lanyon say about Jekyll?
He's kind of exasperated. Says Jekyll became too fanciful for me years ago. Got into unscientific balderdash. Basically, he thinks Jekyll went off the deep end scientifically.
And does Lanyon know Hyde?
Never heard of him. Which tells Utterson that Hyde is the secret. Whatever Jekyll's involved in, he's keeping it very separate from his normal, respectable life and friends.
Utterson is clearly troubled. He has a sleepless night, right?
Yeah.
Just wrestling with this.
Yeah, toiling in mere darkness and besieged by questions. He keeps picturing Enfield's story, the trampling, this human juggernaut. And then he imagines Hyde creeping into Jekyll's house, having power over him.
He needs to see him.
He develops this inordinate curiosity, bordering on obsession, to see the face of the real Mr. Hyde. The logical lawyer becomes a seeker. He says, if he be Mr. Hyde, I shall be Mr. Seek.
He starts watching the door.
He haunts it, day and night, waiting.
And eventually...
pay dirt. One night, he sees a small, plainly dressed man approaching the door with a key. It's Hyde.
The confrontation.
Utterson steps out, introduces himself as Jekyll's friend. Hyde apparently shrank back with a hissing intake of the breath, but then answers coolly enough. Tries not to show his face.
Oh, Utterson insists.
Yeah, until Hyde finally confronts him with an air of defiance. Utterson says, now I shall know you again. And Hyde, cool as ever, even gives him an address in Soho.
How does Utterson feel after meeting him?
Utterson's impression is profound. Unknown disgust, loathing, and fear. He feels Hyde is hardly human, calls him troglodytic.
Troglodytic, like a caveman.
Exactly. Primitive, less evolved. Utterson thinks, if ever I read Satan's signature upon a face, it is on that of your new friend, the judgment of deep, inherent evil.
So what's the next step for Utterson for Mr. Seek?
He goes straight to Jekyll's house, the main entrance this time. Talks to Poole, the butler.
And Poole confirms Hyde has access.
Confirms Hyde has a key, yes, but specifically to the old dissecting room, the laboratory at the back. Says Hyde mostly comes and goes by the laboratory.
Ah, so not the main house, but the lab. That feels significant.
Very significant. It connects Hyde directly to Jekyll's scientific work, not just his personal life. It hints that Hyde might be part of Jekyll's experiments. Utterson leaves, feeling Jekyll is in deep waters.
Then Utterson finally talks to Jekyll himself about it all.
About a fortnight later, yeah. He brings up the will, mentions Hyde. Jekyll's reaction is intense. He turns pale to the very lips, gets a blackness about his eyes.
Offensive?
Defensive, but also trapped. He insists his situation is strange, cannot be mended by talking, but he tries to reassure Utterson, says, the moment I choose, I can be rid of Mr. Hyde.
Which sounds less and less convincing.
Totally. And then he makes Utterson promise something odd to bear with him, and if Jekyll should be taken away to make sure Hyde gets his rights according to the will.
Protect Hyde, even after everything.
It shows how tied Jekyll feels to Hyde, how desperate he is. Utterson reluctantly agrees.
Then things go quiet for a while, right? Before escalating dramatically.
Almost a year. Then, bam! London is shocked by this incredibly vicious crime.
The Carew murder.
Sir Danvers Carew. An MP, apparently. A maidservant sees him talking to a small man on the street late at night. Hyde. Suddenly, Hyde explodes in a great flame of anger.
And attacks him.
Brutally. Beats him to death with a heavy cane. Then horribly tramples the body with ape-like fury until the bones are audibly shattered.
Ape-like fury, that description again. Pure, uncontrolled violence.
Exactly. And the key piece of evidence found near the body, half of a broken cane.
Which Utterson recognizes.
He does. He gave it to Jekyll years ago. It's a direct physical link. The police describe the killer, Hyde, as particularly small and particularly wicked-looking.
They track him to the Soho address.
They do, but the rooms have been ransacked. Clothes everywhere, drawers open, ashes in the fireplace from burned papers. They find the other half of the cane and part of a checkbook. Looks like Hyde fled in a hurry.
But they can't find him.
He vanishes, blotted out. No family, few people know him, no photographs. The only consistent thing people remember is that same haunting sense of unexpressed deformity. He's like a phantom.
The mystery just keeps deepening. What does Utterson do now? He must be frantic.
He goes to see Jekyll again, finds him looking deathly sick. Jekyll claims he's done with Hyde forever, and even shows Utterson a letter he says is from Hyde, assuring Jekyll of his safety and escape.
Does Utterson believe him?
He has doubts. The letter seems convenient, so he takes it back to his office and shows it to his head clerk, Mr. Guest, who happens to be a handwriting expert.
And Guest notices something.
Something deeply disturbing. He compares Hyde's handwriting on the letter to an invitation from Jekyll, and he finds a singular resemblance. He says, the two hands are in many points identical, only differently sloped.
Identical, meaning?
Utterson's conclusion is stark and horrifying.
Yeah.
Henry Jekyll forged for a murderer. The connection isn't just association, it's something far stranger, far more intimate.
Wow. So after this, with Hyde apparently gone, does Jekyll recover?
For a bit, yeah. About 2 months. He actually comes out of his shell, sees friends, engages in charity, seems almost back to his old self, like a weight has been lifted.
But it doesn't last.
No. Suddenly the doors close again. He refuses all visitors, including Utterson. Total seclusion.
Around this time, Utterson checks in on Lanyon again.
He does, and finds Lanyon drastically changed. He looks like he's dying. Has his death warrant written legibly upon his face.
What happened to him?
Lanyon refuses to discuss Jekyll. Says he wants to see or hear no more of Dr. Jekyll, regards him as dead. He tells Utterson cryptically that maybe after he, Lanyon, is dead, Utterson will come to learn the right and wrong of this.
He knows something. Something terrible.
Clearly. Something he witnessed has shaken him to his core, destroyed his health and his worldview, but he won't say what.
And Jekyll himself? Any word?
Utterson writes to him, and Jekyll replies with this anguished letter, talks about facing a punishment and a danger that I cannot name, calls himself the chief of sinners and also the chief of sufferers. He just begs Utterson to respect his silence.
The pieces are there, but Utterson can't assemble them yet.
Not yet. Then Lanyon dies. He leaves Utterson a sealed envelope. Inside is another sealed envelope, marked not to be opened till the death or disappearance of Dr. Henry Jekyll.
That phrase again, disappearance.
Utterson, bound by professional honor, has to put it away. He just hears reports from Poole about Jekyll confining himself more and more to the cabinet above the laboratory, growing quieter, more withdrawn.
Until that final, awful night.
Well, there's one more chilling glimpse first. Utterson and Enfield are on their Sunday walk again, passing the laboratory building. They actually see Jekyll at an upper window.
What does he look like?
Terrible, deathly sick, like a disconsolate prisoner. They try to call up to him, encourage him to come out. For a second he seems to agree, but then his face suddenly contorts with an expression of such abject terror and despair as froze the very blood. The window slams down. Utterson and Enfield just walk away in shocked silence, whispering, God forgive us.
Whatever's happening in there, it's reached a breaking point.
Exactly. Which leads to the final night. Poole, the butler, shows up at Utterson's house completely distraught.
What does he say?
He's terrified. He thinks there's been foul play. That his master, Dr. Jekyll, was made away with maybe 8 days ago.
Made away with. He thinks Jekyll's been murdered. By whom?
He doesn't know. But he describes hearing weeping from the cabinet and seeing someone inside briefly who was masked, small, dwarf-like. This figure cried out like a rat and ran away. Poole is absolutely certain that thing was not my master.
That thing, not Jekyll.
And this creature, whoever it is, has been desperately sending Poole out for a specific drug, a certain salt, sending frantic notes. But every sample Poole brings back is rejected as not pure. One note just pleads, for God's sake, find me some of the old.
The old batch of the chemical ran out or something changed. He needs the original formula.
It seems so. Utterson realizes they have to act. He agrees to go back with Poole and break down the door to the cabinet.
The breaking point arrives.
They get to the house, listen outside the cabinet door. They hear footsteps inside, but they're light, quick, different indeed from the heavy creaking tread of Henry Jekyll. At one point they hear weeping, like a woman or a lost soul.
Chilling?
Utterson calls out, Jekyll, I demand to see you. And a voice answers from inside, pleading, Utterson, for God's sake, have mercy.
But it's not Jekyll's voice.
Utterson knows immediately. That's not Jekyll's voice, it's Hyde's. Down with the door, Poole.
So they break it down, and inside,
Chaos. But in the middle of it all, the body of Edward Hyde. Dressed in clothes far too large for him, Jekyll's clothes. He's sorely contorted and still twitching. There's a crushed vial in his hand. Suicide.
Hyde is dead. But where is Jekyll?
Nowhere. No trace of Henry Jekyll, dead or alive. They find Jekyll's religious books annotated with startling blasphemies. They find a new will, leaving everything to Utterson. And a note from Jekyll telling Utterson to read Lanyon's narrative first, then his own confession.
The final pieces. Lanyon's story first.
Utterson finally opens Lanyon's sealed packet. Lanyon recounts receiving a desperate letter from Jekyll, asking him to break into Jekyll's lab, get a specific drawer, and give it to a messenger who would arrive at midnight.
Lanyon does it, even though he disapproved of Jekyll's work.
He does, out of old friendship perhaps. At midnight, the messenger arrives. A small man crouching. It's Hyde. Lanyon is struck by his shocking expression, a strange mix of energy and weakness, the ill-fitting clothes, and this odd subjective disturbance Hyde creates in him.
That same revulsion everyone feels.
Exactly. Hyde is impatient, almost frantic. He mixes the contents of the drawer, a red liquid and a white powder. It fizzes, changes color. Then Hyde looks at Lanyon.
Asks him to watch.
He challenges him. Witness something that will stagger the unbelief of Satan, or leave. Lanyon, the scientist, stays. Hyde drinks the potion.
And the transformation.
Lanyon describes it horrifically. Hyde reels, staggers, gasps. His face turns black. His features seem to melt and alter. And then, before Lanyon's eyes, standing there pale and shaken, is Henry Jekyll.
Lanyon witnessed it. The impossible.
It completely destroys him. His scientific world, his grasp on reality is shattered. He writes that his life is shaken to its roots, that he feels his death approaching. He identifies the creature clearly as Hyde, the murderer of Carew. The shock literally kills him.
And now, finally, Jekyll's own words, the full confession.
Utterson reads Jekyll's statement. Jekyll starts by explaining his whole life felt like a profound duplicity. He had this respectable side wanting to carry my head high, but also this hidden, impatient gaiety, these urges he felt compelled to hide.
The internal conflict.
Precisely. His scientific studies led him to believe that man is not truly one, but truly two. He became obsessed with finding a way to separate these two natures physically, believed he could isolate the good and the evil.
And he found a drug that could do it.
He compounded a drug. He describes taking the first dose, agony, racking pangs, bones grinding, but then relief. An indescribably new and incredibly sweet feeling. He felt younger, lighter, happier.
But different.
Oh yes, a heady recklessness, a freedom that was unknown but not an innocent. He looked in the mirror and saw Edward Hyde for the first time. Smaller, younger, somehow malformed. And he knew, instantly, this being was pure evil.
His reaction wasn't horror.
Not initially. He says he felt no repugnance, but a leap of welcome. He recognized, this too was myself. The evil side, finally given form.
So Hyde wasn't an invasion. Hyde was Jekyll's repressed side unleashed.
Exactly. Hyde was the outlet. Jekyll saw him as a city of refuge, an impenetrable mantle. He could indulge his darker impulses, his undignified, later monstrous pleasures as Hyde, and then return to being the respected Dr. Jekyll, completely safe. Hyde alone was guilty, he told himself.
A dangerous self-deception.
Fatal. He set Hyde up in Soho, made the will, but Hyde, being pure evil, grew stronger, more malign and villainous. Jekyll was sometimes aghast at Hyde's actions, but he kept making excuses, kept using him.
Until he started losing control.
That was the turning point. He woke up one morning as Hyde, without having taken the drug. The change happened involuntarily. He realized the balance was shifting. It was getting harder to turn back into Jekyll, easier to become Hyde. The evil side was taking over.
Did he try to stop?
He did, for a while. Made a resolute farewell to Hyde, locked the lab door, even broke the key, tried to commit to being only Jekyll.
How long did that last?
2 months. The same 2 months he seemed better to Utterson. But the craving, the throes and longings for Hyde's wicked freedom came back. He got weak.
And took the potion again.
Yes, and that very night, under Hyde's influence, fueled by months of repression, he encountered Sir Danvers Carew and murdered him in that fit of ape-like fury.
So the murder was directly linked to his relapse.
Absolutely. The remorse was real afterward, he says. Bolstered by the fear of being caught, the terrors of the scaffold, he resolved again to suppress Hyde.
But the involuntary changes started.
Yes. The next time wasn't planned. He was sitting on a bench in Regent's Park, feeling charitable, and suddenly felt the change coming on. He transformed into Hyde, right there in public, terrified someone would see him. He realized Hyde was now strong enough to emerge on his own.
The drug stopped working as well.
Its effects weakened. He needed double, then triple doses to get back to being Jekyll. The struggle consumed him, eaten up and emptied by fever. And the relationship changed. Jekyll began to hate Hyde, seeing him as this hellish but inorganic parasite.
And Hyde hated Jekyll back.
Yes, Hyde resented Jekyll's lingering conscience, his attempts to control him, his occasional bouts of remorse. Hyde started playing ape-like tricks on Jekyll, destroying letters, burning portraits just out of spite, trying to drag Jekyll down with him.
A war within one body.
A terrifying war.
Ugh.
And then the final blow. His original supply of the crucial salt, the key ingredient, started running low.
And the new batches didn't work.
He frantically sent Poole out, but every new supply was impure. It lacked some unknown quality present in the first batch. That impurity, ironically, might have been what made the transformation back to Jekyll possible. Without it, he was trapped.
So the confession is written
under the influence of the very last dose of the original effective powder. He knows, as he writes, that this is the end of Henry Jekyll. He can't change back again. He wonders what will happen to Hyde. Will he be caught? Will he find the courage to end his own life? And with that, Jekyll concludes, his life is over.
Wow, what a devastating story. We've really tracked the clues, the slow reveal, the sheer horror of Lanyon's experience, and Jekyll's final tragic confession. Stevenson just nails that exploration of our hidden selves, doesn't he? The public face versus private desire.
He absolutely does. It's timeless. So thinking about this whole deep dive, what stands out most to you? Utterson's loyalty? Lanyon's shattered reality? Or just Jekyll's horrifying spiral?
For me, it's the chilling realization of how thin that veneer of control can be, how easily the other side can take over once you start messing with those boundaries. It's a terrifying thought.
It really is. And the core message seems to be how hard, maybe impossible it is to truly separate good and evil within us. They're intertwined. Try to cut one out, and maybe you destroy the whole.
Right. Which brings us to that final thought. Jekyll's whole catastrophe, his inability to change back at the end, came down to an unknown impurity in his first batch of salt. Something extra, maybe even unintended, was essential.
Yeah, that detail is fascinating.
So the provocative question for you is this. What are the necessary impurities in our own lives? Maybe not chemicals, but things like empathy, conscience, friendship, love the messy, perhaps illogical parts of being human. Are those the essential ingredients that keep our own Jekylls and Hydes in some kind of balance? What happens if those impurities run out?
That's a deep one. Something to definitely chew on.
Indeed. Ponder that until our next deep dive.